Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane's been working with buyers and sellers in the Missoula market for over 25 years and shares her insights on the local housing market. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO. Hey, good morning, and thank you so much for making Missoula Real Estate Today a part of your weekend. Glad to have you here. Diane Beck not with us, but sent some terrific guests along for this week's show. Home Now. I like the confidence and assurance of that name, and we'll learn more about that this morning. Among other things, Dave Glaser, president of Mofi here in Missoula, is with us, as well as Julie Lapham, a loan officer with Mann Mortgage. And Dave, I guess we'll start with you. How did you come to be president of Mofi?
About 11 years ago now,
Wow.
I was recruited to work with Mofi, formerly known as Montana and Idaho CDC, and I've never looked back. It's just a wonderful place to work.
Yeah, Montana and Idaho Community Development Corporation. First, why the name change, other than maybe the length? I don't know, but why the name change, and how does it better help define what you do?
That's an excellent question. First and foremost, it was a really hard name to say and remember. So Mofi makes a whole lot more sense. It's easy to remember, repeat, and it is not indicative of any geography. So we're a non-bank lender that provides capital to nearly bankable businesses, communities, potential homeowners across the Northern Rockies. We're headquartered right here in Missoula.
Yeah. Is it short for anything, or do I just say Mofi?
You know, honestly, you could attribute mountain finance to Mofi.
Okay.
That works just fine.
All right. Well, what situations in the home lending process created a need for what you do?
A number of years ago now, roughly 4, we saw our small business borrowers who were all nearly bankable. These are businesses that banks wish they could lend to because they really like the business, they like the person, but for some reason they can't get their capital from a bank. We saw these individuals struggling also to purchase homes. Here were hardworking people who had good credit and cash flow. They had excellent businesses, but they weren't able to purchase a home. And so we thought to ourselves, we should figure out a product that'll help our business borrowers purchase a home. It started there. We saw a need in the market.
All right. Well, you're here with a lending officer from a mortgage company, so I assume you coexist nicely. You seem to be getting along very well there before the show came on. Where in the process might your two businesses intersect?
Well, we wouldn't be able to do what we do at all without financial institutions, bank, and companies like Mann Mortgage. We work part and parcel with them. I am proud to know lenders all across the Northern Rockies. They provide an essential service, and we're able to, with our products, help even more Montanans and Missoulians access responsible, flexible credit.
Julie Lapham, loan officer with Mann Mortgage. Julie, give us a little bit of your background and what your position entails at Mann Mortgage.
I'm a loan officer. I've been a loan officer for some 19 years or so. I've been with Mann Mortgage for quite a few of those years. What I do is I just qualify borrowers for mortgages. When they don't have down payment, or they do, or they need closing costs, I look at other avenues to get them those funds. And Home Now is a great opportunity for them.
Yeah, what was your reaction when you heard there was a program like Home Now? I'm sure you were trying to dive in and process as much of it as you possibly could in a short period of time.
It's a very easy program to use. I use a lot of different down payment assistance programs, and it's very easy. There's really no additional paperwork. Usually you need to take an online class if you haven't taken a home buyer class, but it's very simple and streamlined.
What changes, good or bad, good or maybe not bad, but a little more challenging, have you seen over the past few years in the mortgage industry that have, well, benefited consumers hopefully, or maybe have made it a little more challenging?
You know, I think that these days, over my longer career, I feel like there are more opportunities for borrowers than there have in the past. There were a lot more strings attached to a lot of the down payment assistance we have. They were very limited. The great thing about the Home Now program is you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. which is a huge advantage. So even if you have owned another home or you own another maybe investment property or whatnot, that doesn't mean that you cannot use this program.
My guests on Missoula Real Estate Today this week, Dave Glaser, president of Mofi here in Missoula, and Julie Lapham, loan officer with Mann Mortgage, also in Missoula, of course. Dave, back to you. Let's start getting down to the brass tacks here. Tell us more about the Home Now program and how that works exactly.
Yeah, you asked earlier about why. Why did we start Home Now? And down payment assistance historically had been relatively not customer friendly. And we wanted to bring a product to the market that was easy for customers to use. We pride ourselves on making access to credit something that is customer friendly. And so Home Now, I often say that there's a piece of paper that borrowers need to sign, and it's at closing. There's no application at all for our funds. We simply wire them to closing. And so making that streamlined product is important to us. We are a nonprofit. MoFi is a 501c3, and it's our mission to provide this capital to Montanans so that they can get ahead.
Now, who would qualify? Who is this for? I guess we'll get into kind of a demographics issue. I assume there's probably there might be maybe some age minimums, age maximums, but who is it for? Is this pretty much just an anybody, everything type qualification process?
Yeah, from our perspective, it's any working Montanan with a credit score higher than 640. So that's quite a lot of people.
Yeah, 640. That's pretty reasonable. And beyond that, how going into the process, if somebody wants to get a hold of you and start working on this, what else should they probably know ahead of time just to be sure they qualify? Obviously, you could help them with that. I mean, you can kind of go through it step by step and say, yes, you do. Sorry, you don't. We're so close. Let's do this. Those kinds of things, maybe work them through it. But what are other steps people can take ahead of time to determine if they might qualify?
It's very easy. And this is where the partnership between Julie and Mann Mortgage comes into the fore. And that is that somebody can go to www.mofi.org and check in their community and find out who the approved lenders are for Home Now, and then click on a link and get connected directly to a lender. And that lender can then check to see if that potential homeowner works for Home Now and if Home Now works for them.
And Julie, in relation to what Dave does, and also separately from that, when is the right time for someone to meet with a lender in this whole process? I mean, you'd like to be pre-qualified for anything and everything, but that's not always realistic. But there's probably a place in there, a step in there that you take to get to that level. Ideally,
it's great if somebody will call and make an appointment or fill out my secure online website prior to looking at properties. It's always a tough thing when you have to explain to a client they might not be approved for that $350,000 home that they had saw, or they don't understand the payment, which might be out of their reach. And so I think prior to looking, certainly you can meet with a realtor, but prior to even that is a good idea. I find sometimes clients might have some credit issues that we can work with and maybe do a rescore or whatnot to get them in a better position. So it's always better if that should be your first step, is to get pre-approved.
And where do you see that someone like Dave's business for MoFi might come in and be an asset to them?
Well, like I said, if you don't have down payment, obviously
Right.
This is going to really help you there. But also, I have clients that maybe the seller won't pay your closing costs, which is typical in purchase transactions, but maybe there is a very aggressive market or house and there's multiple offers. And if the seller will not pay the closing costs, this can fill that gap as well. I had another client who had their own down payment, but they had multiple children and headed to remodel a bathroom. And instead of us using some alternate financing, this program was imperative because they got to save their money for their improvements, but use this program for their down payment and their closing costs.
Dave Glaser, president of MoFi here in Missoula, and Julie Lapham, loan officer with Mann Mortgage on Missoula Real Estate Today. And Dave, a little bit more about the organization. We kind of get a feel for why you're offering the program, and where have you seen the growth areas? We talked a little bit about demographics. Have you seen any particular trends in who's coming to see you for your services?
Yeah, excellent question. So to date, we've helped nearly 200 Montanans in 2 years purchase a home.
You're a busy guy,
Home
aren't
Now.
you?
Very busy. And we couldn't be happier with that. Our goal was to open the gates for people who are hardworking, decent credit, get into a home if they want one. And so the people we're seeing use this are largely in Billings, Missoula, the Flathead Valley, Helena, and then much to our happiness, we've seen a lot of rural markets use it as well, down the Bitterroot, out in eastern Montana as well, as far as Sydney.
Wow.
And so the people who are using it are people that are our neighbors and friends, teachers, police officers, firefighters, people that work for city or state government, lots and lots of folks who work in healthcare. And so these are the people that make this state run. And to be able to help them purchase a home is something that we couldn't be happier about.
Okay, let's do a little hypothetical with numbers. Neither of you can answer this question, or maybe you want to team up on it. Let's say there's the house I love, and it's a $300,000 home. Okay, which isn't out of the norm in Missoula anymore. So $300,000. Now, man, I've only got about $5,000 for a down payment. This ain't gonna happen. What's next?
Well, they would most likely go to our website or call us, and then we would direct them to a lender in their area that's an approved Home Now lender.
Okay.
And then they would go to Julie. And
I would have them fill out an application. We have a great website where they can do that. We can meet or do it over the phone. And then we would take a look at their ratios and their credit score, take a look at income documents and whatnot, and see if we can qualify them. The great thing about this program is we can go up to debt ratios of 50% on the conventional side, which is pretty aggressive, but we can get up to 5% for them for their down payment.
So is that an unrealistic scenario that I just gave you?
No, it's not at all. And I think I've probably had transactions like that. I think our average price is around purchase price.
Average purchase price is nearly $200,000. And so we have plenty of homes that are above $300,000 being purchased.
All right. Well, when Diane Beck from Windermere was on the show last week, we were kind of talking about the winter time of the year to buy or sell, and maybe the activity softens a little bit because folks aren't necessarily feel like moving in someplace in the dead of winter unless they have to, or they don't feel like selling in the dead of winter because there might not be as much curb appeal, and they just want to mess with it now. But why would this time of year be, Julie, a good time to buy a home?
I find in winter interest rates seem to be a little suppressed, and also it seems to me, and this is a great question for Diane, I find that sellers are more willing to negotiate. They don't like their property sitting on the market, it seems to work that way. Also, we tend to move a little faster over the winter. My underwriting is 24 hours, which in the spring and summer, it moves more like 48. So we can move really quickly. I can close loans in 3 weeks if everything's in line.
Talking about Home Now loans, Dave, is there an industry term for this kind of loan? The first thought I had was a supplemental loan, but I'm learning this morning that probably does not do it justice. Is there an industry term for what you do?
Down payment assistance.
Okay.
Easy peasy. And down payment assistance, this program in particular, in 2017, helped nearly 100,000 Americans purchase a home, this specific program. And so we're really, with programs like these, helping working Americans purchase a home.
Prior to coming on with Mofi, were you familiar with this program, or is this something that somebody, hey, I know a guy, Dave Glaser, that'd be awesome for this job? How did your relationship begin with them?
With Mofi?
Yeah.
It began. I was not aware of Mofi whatsoever. I ran a small business here in Missoula. I knew how hard it was to get a bank loan.
Sure.
For a small business, and a friend of mine, Heidi, who was our vice president, gave me a call one day and said, hey, you should come over here and check this place out. There's something happening here that I think you would be interested in.
And, of course, we've been talking primarily about loans for prospective home buyers, but at the open of the show, you'd also referenced a lot of small business type loans. So you must have a lot of background and experience in that by now too, right? Talk a little bit about perspective, people that want to buy a business, and how that's the same, how it might be different.
Yeah, it's not dissimilar. So it's hard to finance small business, and oftentimes the bank wants to help, but because banks are regulated and have specific areas they can or can't lend, oftentimes they give us a call and we jump in and help. Last year alone, 50% of the small businesses we financed were startups, and that's all across the Northern Rockies. We deployed nearly $110 million to help potential homeowners, small businesses, and then large-scale projects get going.
As far as, I guess I would maybe call it a credibility issue, you have to be, I mean, you want to reach out, you want to help absolutely everybody if you could, but you've got to make sure that there's a success ratio there too, because if you're assisting people and it's not working, that's probably not good for MoFi's credibility. So there's got to be a little bit of a screening process in there as well, I would assume. You
bet. We're exceptionally good at identifying people who have a strong willingness and ability to repay loans.
All right. Let me interrupt you. How do you do that?
Well, I guess you would say we do it the old-fashioned way, okay, right? We look at somebody and judge their character, and that's more than credit score. And we also look at their ability as a person to be able to repay a loan, whether it's through the cash flow of the business or their job or their spouses. And so we're looking holistically at people to understand their potential, the opportunity in the future, and our loss rate is less than 1%. Knock on wood.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was hoping that was kind of the answer I would get out of it there. This is even better than the answer I thought I was going to get out of there. Julie, we had talked about, I don't know if it's a magic number, but you're still kind of looking for somewhat of a median credit score. I think you mentioned 650. Is that about where we're looking here to? So
for most of the programs, you need a middle FICO credit score of 640. On the conventional program, you need a 680 or higher. But like I said, we have so many great tools where if your credit score is a little lower, we can work with you to figure out what we need to do to get your credit score up. And usually it doesn't take a long time to do that. And so there's some really good options there. Okay.
Our guests on Missoula Real Estate Today, Dave Glaser, president of MoFi here in Missoula, and Julie Lapham, a loan officer with Mann Mortgage. If you had to tout Mann Mortgage as the place to go, Julie, what would you say to folks?
Well, we are really a local-based company. We started out in Kalispell 30 years ago. We're actually in 20 states now, so we're actually a pretty large company, but we give the customer service our clients deserve and want. We take the time to listen and work through options. I don't tell my clients what they need, what programs they need to use. I give them all their options so they can make the best decision for them. But we really focus on affordability. What kind of payment can they really afford rather than just what I can qualify them for.
And what is our menu like? I mean, in terms of options for home buyers and structured loan, you hear a lot about, oh my goodness, a 30-year loan, yikes, or a 15-year loan, or maybe I can refinance somewhere down the road. But what are some of the, I guess maybe, what are some of the typical numbers there that people fall under in terms of how a 30-year loan, is that pretty much the norm?
That's usually the standard. I mean, usually we see people going into 30 or 15, but the great thing about mortgages, at least our product line, is that we have no prepayment penalties on every year of loans. So if you do take a 30-year mortgage, you could always pay it off in 5 or 10 or 15 years if you like, which gives borrowers the opportunity to have a lower payment to fall back on if they needed to, but aggressively pay it down. But we offer 15, 20, right, 10, all the programs.
All right. And Dave, back to you with MoFi and this Home Now program, and very inviting potential for somebody to start looking into that, obviously. And when they do you start by building I don't know, maybe a long-term equity what is the starting process? Because you certainly don't want to give the impression that, oh, hey, free money for everybody. Not like that. You still got to have some I guess standards is the only word I can think
you
of,
bet.
But you probably got a better word for it than that.
Yeah, this program is meant for working Montanans with credit above 640, and so you have to have underwritable income, right? The ability to pay a loan over the life of that loan. And so the people using Home Now across the state and here in Missoula are people who are steady workers, right? They have good jobs and they're contributing to their communities with their work, and we're trying to give back to them so that they can buy a home and build assets so that they can get ahead. That is the reason why we started this program. And I couldn't be happier to be here with Julie today because, and she doesn't know this until right now, for the second year in a row, she's the #1 lender in the entire state of Montana.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. And
you're hearing it first on Missoula Real Estate Today.
That's exactly right. So in 2017, Julie helped 14 Missoulians and Western Montanans buy a home. And in 2018, she helped 16 Missoulians and Western Montanans. So I guess she should have a cape and a big S on her chest because there is nobody better at it than Julie.
Thank you, Dave. That is really, I love what I do, and being able to help clients using this program is really all the things that I need, but thank you. That's really amazing. I had a client in my office, we closed a few months ago, that said she was looking for a property for 3 years, and they just couldn't figure out the down payment. They were declined by other lenders. She came in my house. She had a great realtor, had her under contract and closed within a month. And it was just the most amazing thing. And if people are working with a lender that doesn't offer this program, I highly suggest they or the realtor talk to Dave at Mofi or call me or find out about the program, because not every lender offers it. And it's a great tool.
Why wouldn't a lender offer that program? You're just thinking out loud.
Well, we're working on adding new lenders all the time. And so it's a matter of building. So our biggest challenge at Mofi with Home Now is making sure everybody knows about it. And so getting the word out on the street helps lenders say, hey, we should look at that. There are a number of lenders in Missoula who are approved, and we'd like to add more in the future. Yeah. That said, the ones who are already approved got in early, and they have learned how to use the program, and they are really helping a lot more people in Missoula, including a very personal story for me.
Please.
My children's kindergarten and 3rd grade teacher, Molly Cast, I love her. She used our program not once but twice to help her buy a home for she and her children. And I have the thank you note that Molly sent me for using Home Now. She didn't realize I worked at Mofi. I was just
no kidding.
I was just Beanie and Bella's dad. And when she found out, she sent me a thank you note that remains on my desk, because it strikes me that what we have created and are doing in partnership with people like Julie is really helping a lot of people in Montana.
Julie, congratulations on your work. Pretty good impromptu acceptance speech there, because you didn't know, right? Till
No,
Dave just spilled
didn't know.
Yeah. Did you have to put in an application for this? Or
No.
They're just peeking around the corners watching you, and you didn't even know. So.
I have to say, like I mentioned, we use a lot of different programs, and Mofi is so quick to respond and helpful if there is an unusual circumstance or I have a question. Jen and Dave are so fast to reply. Our market moves so fast. We don't have time to wait a day or two. We want to get answers and figure out what we need to do quickly. And we couldn't, and I can't do what I do with great partners like Mofi.
Dave, is this if I qualify and I start working with you and Julie's helped me get a home, am I making 2 separate payments, monthly payments, or is it all a consolidated thing?
It's a consolidated thing.
Okay.
And it's very easy. We didn't want to create a program that was cumbersome, that had strings attached. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I'm most proud of with this program. As Julie mentioned, there's no prepayment penalty. Use Home Now to get yourself into a home. And then 2 years later, if you need to refinance into something else, that is totally acceptable. There's no paperwork follow-up, nothing. And so one of the other challenges we have is that people say, yeah, this sounds too good to be true.
I know.
There must be a catch.
Yeah.
And so I spend a lot of time getting out in front of groups of people, including giving talks to, I gave a talk to Home Depot, Lowe's, multiple places across the state. And now it turns out 3 people at Lowe's in Kalispell are users of Home Now. So putting a face to this program and also standing in the front with the fact that we're a nonprofit, right? We are supposed to be doing this because of our mission.
Yeah. So I assume that that's part of your daily duties then. People are not necessarily going to contact you and say, hey, Dave, could you come to my business and talk about Mofi? Maybe they do, but you probably go out, do a little prospecting, right?
Yeah. In fact, the owners of Ace Hardware in Livingston, Butte, and Anaconda did contact me, and I went and spoke to their staffs in all 3 locations about Home Now because they wanted to make sure that their employees have the opportunity to buy a home.
While you're giving those talks, do you say things like, "Hey, I know this really great mortgage gal," or
Yeah, it turns out really? Sometimes I do.
Well,
you betcha.
You rascal.
Although not in Butte.
I do a lot of business in Butte. I do a ton of business.
All right. Sorry I stirred the pot there. Missoula Real Estate Today, Diane Beck's program. Our guest this week, Dave Glaser, president of Mofi, and Julie Lapham, loan officer with Mann Mortgage. We've been talking a lot about Home Now. That's a program that Dave has with Mofi. Interested in buying a home but struggling with the down payment? We can help, and it sure sounds like you can. So if you had to put in a last-minute plug, Dave, for more about Mofi, what should people do that are interested in buying a home? And they can and it sounds like an awful lot of people would be under this umbrella. What should be the next step for them? What would you like them to do?
The easiest next step is to go to our website, mofi.org.
Okay.
MOFI.org, or call us.
Okay.
844-728-9234, and we'll be happy to direct you to an approved lender for Home Now.
Julie, do you echo those sentiments? Anything you'd like to add to that?
It's a great program. It's worth a look. And like I said, make sure to mention it to your realtor or your client because so many options out there. It's important that you understand all your options, and this is a good one.
Well, you two did an awesome job. We appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dave Glaser with Mofi and Julie Lapham with Mann Mortgage. A special thank you to some of Diane Beck's marketing partners that help bring you Missoula Real Estate Today. Rob Fleming with Mann Mortgage, Miles Link of Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Carol Blodgett with MakeItMissoula.com. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week on Missoula Real Estate Today. Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today. We hope you found this morning's information to be helpful. If you have any suggested topics for any future Missoula Real Estate Today programs or any questions about buying or selling, contact Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@realtor.com or visit her website, homesinmissoula.com. That's homesinmissoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.